Just a review today of this item right here, which is an inexpensive quick release system that I found on eBay for a little under $10. And it's kind of similar to both of these quick release systems that I've used in the past. This is the Sima Quickonnect and the Manfrotto 323 clone. I've made a video about these a long time ago and actually still use both of these, and I like both of these, but I thought that this one may address some of the deficiencies that I had in both of these, namely here in the Sima Quickonnect, which is a hard plastic quick release system with a small plate. It has a kind of a manual release system. You actually have to hold open and remove the plate like that and then lock it back manually. Didn't like that as much, even though I like the basic system. The Manfrotto 323 here, which is more heavy duty, all metal, has a nice snap-in system right here. You just pop everything back together really quickly. But it's not flush mounted. You can't mount this on a flat surface. It's got, because of the locking pin right here, it actually sticks out on the bottom, so you need some kind of riser in order to mount it on a flat surface. And I don't really like that all that much, even though I continue to use both of these, this more with my Zoom H1 system, my audio recorder, and this with my camera rigs. But when I saw this, I thought, hey, this might actually address some of the things I didn't like about those. So I bought one, and as you can see right away, what this has that the others don't is a leveling system. You can see the bubble levels right there moving around, and there's actually a third one right there. So this gives you 3 levels. So whatever item you put this on, you can have a pretty accurate way of leveling your camera or whatever is attached to this. And another nice thing is that these levels are oil filled and not water filled, so you get the smooth bubble action opposed to the herky-jerky-ness of the water ones, which are really cheap and kind of useless. So that's a nice touch. Also, the locking mechanism right here does not use a locking pin. It's actually got this release button right here. So when you push it and pull on the lever, then you can release it. And whatever you have mounted here, you can quickly snap back into place, just like the Manfrotto, unlike the Sima. But like the Sima, unlike the Manfrotto, this is actually flat on the bottom, so you can surface mount it on things and it'll be completely flat. That's a nice touch. I didn't like the fact that I had to adjust this one to make it work when I don't have a completely flat surface, or when I do have a completely flat surface, so this is a nice adjustment to that. So this would be the perfect quick release system, right? Well, I'm not so sure about that. One thing I didn't like about this was that the sort of cheaper build quality. Now this is cast metal for the most part, like the Manfrotto 323 clone, but this is way more heavier duty, and it's just a thicker, heavier, I guess there's just more metal casting in this than there is in this. So it's lighter, which is okay for lighter items, I guess, but I wouldn't trust heavier objects in this quick release opposed to this one. This is kind of the granddaddy of small profile quick releases, I think. Another thing I found about this was that release lever right here is actually made of plastic. It's not made of cast metal, so it's a little flimsier. It's got a little teeny tiny spring in there, which I'm sure can be knocked out or fall out, or if you bump this too hard with something, this can break. The other 2 releases are not going to break. You have to be pretty abusive to break these. Even the Sima, which is a hard plastic, is not going to break. It's just sturdy, and I've had several of these for a long time and I've never had any problems with them, or this one. I can see problems arising from this just because of the slightly more flimsy nature of the cast metal and the thin plastic and things like that. So this is on the surface, that's what I think is going to happen. But let's take these quick release plates off and take a closer look at them. These are the quick release plates removed from their bases. You have the Sima here, it's made out of a hard plastic. It did come with a little guide pin, which is more common in camcorders and not so much in DSLRs, but I've removed it because I don't need it. If you flip it over, it's got a mount here that has a flathead screw that you need to use a screwdriver to attach, where if you look at some of these newer models like the Manfrotto 323 right here, it does not have a flathead screwdriver mount. It's got a little handle that you can lift up and turn. That's probably more useful. It's nicer. You don't have to have a tool to mount this. The newer generic model, which is also a metal, well, it feels like a hard plastic, but it's still a cast metal, has both of these. It's got a flathead screw mount and a little handle that you can lift up and turn, although you're not going to be able to get as much torque out of this handle as you can this one, because this is just super heavy duty. I was kind of curious to see how well this fared on my Zoom H1, because I use the Sima almost exclusively on the Zoom H1, as you can see here, because the Zoom H1 has plastic threads. So if you ever want to mount it to stuff, you don't want to keep using those plastic threads because you're going to wear them out. So I like to have a plate on this that I can just mount onto various camera rigs. So I like to leave this because it's small enough to where the battery bay door can easily be removed. Not the case when I tried this new generic model. It was just too big. Battery bay door could not be removed, so this isn't going to work for the Zoom H1. Unfortunately, as far as camera items, the Manfrotto clone is just a larger area to mount camera stuff to, or mount bigger items to it, so it's not going to replace that either. One nice thing is that they all have a spongy surface, which of course is pretty much mandatory now if you want to mount anything to these. And it doesn't have a spongy surface. Eventually it's going to loosen and turn. So it's nice to know that you can tighten any of these down and they will completely stick to whatever they're attached to, and whatever is attached to them won't spin. And that's just a basic look at this new quick release system. I don't think the build quality is better than either of these. However, it does incorporate some things that they both don't have separately, such as a flush mounting that the Manfrotto doesn't have, or the automatic snap-in locking feature that the Sima doesn't have. It also has leveling, so if you need that built in, this would be maybe an ideal quick release system for you, as long as you don't need anything heavy duty. This is definitely made for lighter equipment. So keep that in mind if you're considering a purchase. For me, it's not going to replace either of these, but if it's something that you might be interested in, just be aware that it's decent but not great. If you like this review, please come to thefrugalfilmmaker.com for more, and thanks for watching.